I'll never forget the first time he touched me. Not the polite handshake. Not the accidental brush of fingers when he paid for dinner at the restaurant. The real touch. The one that burned. It was 3 a.m. His penthouse. Rain against the windows. I was stitching the knife wound on his shoulder, trying to steady my shaking hands. "You're beautiful when you're concentrating," he said in that low voice that made my stomach flip. I looked up. His eyes were on my lips. "Don't," I whispered. "Don't look at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you want to." He kissed me. Cut off my words. Cut off my breath. Cut off every reason I had to walk away. And God help me, I kissed him back. His hands in my hair. My hands on his chest, feeling his heart race as fast as mine. The taste of him. The heat of him. The way he whispered my name like a prayer. Elizabeth. That night changed everything. Because 3 hours earlier, I was nobody. A homeless girl sleeping in bathhouses. Invisible to everyone. Except him. For 6 months, he'd watched me at the restaurant. Those eyes. That intensity. Like he could see straight through every wall I'd built. I tried to ignore it. Tried to pretend the way my body reacted when he walked in was nothing. But then came the alley. The blood. The moment I chose to save a stranger's life. And suddenly I was in his world. His penthouse. His bed. His hands exploring every inch of my skin like he was memorizing me. His mouth on my neck, my shoulders, whispering things that made me forget my own name. We made love that night like we'd been waiting for it our whole lives. Like we both knew, somehow knew, this was the beginning of something that would either save us or destroy us. I didn't know who he really was. What dangers he carried. What loving him would cost. All I knew was the way he held me afterward. The way he looked at me in the darkness. The way he said, "You have no idea what you've done to me." And I whispered back, "Then show me." What happened next? The secrets he revealed? The world I stepped into? The enemies who wanted us dead? The way our love became something so intense, so consuming, that we'd risk everything, our lives, our futures, our souls, just to keep it? That's the story. But it started with a kiss in the rain. A touch that changed everything. And a night of passion that bound two strangers together in ways we couldn't understand. Not yet. My name is Elizabeth. And this is how I fell in love with danger itself. How his hands became my home. And how one night of surrender led to an empire worth billions. And a love that almost killed us both. Before I tell you how we ended up there, tangled in his sheets, our bodies intertwined, his heartbeat against my ear, you need to understand 3 impossible things. First, how does a broke Nigerian girl end up in the arms of a man so dangerous that grown men whisper his name in fear? Second, what kind of man watches a woman for 6 months, memorizing every gesture, every smile, every movement, and waits for the perfect moment to claim her? And third, what happened in that rain-soaked alley that made me choose him over my own survival? Because that choice? That one moment of insanity? It led to stolen kisses in darkened hallways. To his hands on my body in places I'd never been touched. To secrets whispered against my skin at 4 in the morning. It led to a love so fierce that when his enemies came for us, he burned his entire empire to the ground just to keep me safe. But it also led to the kind of passion that changes you. The kind where you can't tell anymore where you end and he begins. By the end of the story, you'll know everything. The first time he pressed me against the wall and kissed me until I couldn't breathe. The night I discovered who he really was and stayed anyway. The moment his touch became the only thing that felt real. And the twist that turned our forbidden love into something worth billions. But I promise you, nothing is what it seems. Because the man they called the Ghost of Gangnam was hiding more than just criminal secrets. He was hiding a heart that had been waiting for someone to see him as more than a monster. And I was hiding how desperately I wanted to be the one who did. Let me take you back to the beginning. Back when I still believed love was something that happened to other people. I was born Elizabeth Adebayo in Lagos, Nigeria. Youngest of 5 children. My father was a teacher, my mother sold fabrics at Balogun Market. We didn't have much, but we had dreams that stretched beyond our small apartment in Seoul. My dream? I wanted to conquer the world. Study international business. Prove that a girl from Lagos could make it anywhere. When I got accepted to a language program in Seoul, South Korea, my entire family sacrificed everything. My mother sold her gold jewelry, the pieces my grandmother had given her. My father took extra tutoring jobs. My siblings emptied their savings accounts. The day I left, my mother held my face in her hands. "Make us proud, Elizabeth," she said. "Show them what we're made of. Show them that Nigerian women are unstoppable." I promised her I would. I had no idea I was walking into a nightmare that would eventually become the most beautiful dream of my life. Seoul was breathtaking. The lights, the technology, the way the city pulsed with energy and possibility. But beauty from a distance can hide cruelty up close. The language program was real. But the student housing they'd promised? A lie. The agency that brought me over vanished with my tuition money within 2 weeks. My student visa was legitimate, but without the program's support, I was stranded. Alone in a country where I barely spoke the language, where my dark skin made me stand out in every crowd, where I had exactly $43 and a suitcase full of hope that was rapidly dying. I couldn't tell my family. Couldn't break my mother's heart. Couldn't admit that I'd failed before I'd even begun. So I smiled in our video calls. Lied about classes I wasn't attending. Pretended everything was perfect. Meanwhile, I was sleeping in 24-hour internet cafes and jjimjilbangs, Korean bathhouses where you could rest for a few dollars. I washed my clothes in public restrooms. Ate one meal a day if I was lucky. Learned to make myself invisible. For 3 months, I survived in the shadows of a city that didn't want me. That's when desperation led me to Halmiani's Garden. It was a small family restaurant in Itaewon, run by an elderly Korean woman whose weathered hands reminded me of my grandmother's. I walked in one freezing November morning, my Korean halting and embarrassing, and asked for work. She looked at me for a long moment. Really looked, not through me, like most people did, but at me. Seeing the exhaustion, the hunger, the quiet desperation I thought I was hiding. "Tomorrow," she said in English. Just that one word. 5 a.m. I showed up at 4:45. She didn't smile, but she nodded. And that nod? It was the first kindness Seoul had shown me. Halmiani taught me Korean through cooking. Corrected my pronunciation while I chopped vegetables. Fed me meals she claimed were mistakes or extras, but I knew were acts of love. On the coldest nights, when I had nowhere else to go, she let me sleep in the storage room on a cot behind the rice bags. For the first time since landing in this country, I felt human again. I worked hard, memorized the menu, learned regular customers' orders and preferences, saved every one, dreaming of the day I could afford my own room, my own life. I had no idea that one of those regular customers was about to become my entire world. And I definitely had no idea that the way he looked at me, those dark, burning eyes that followed my every movement, would eventually consume me completely. He came in every Thursday night. Always at 9 p.m. Always alone. Always sat at table 7 in the back corner where the light was dimmest. He never smiled. Never made small talk. Just ordered the same thing, galbi and soju, and watched. God, the way he watched me. At first, it made me nervous. Self-conscious. I'd catch myself smoothing my hair, checking my reflection in the kitchen window, wondering what he saw when he looked at me. Because he did look. Constantly. Those eyes tracking me as I moved between tables, served other customers, wiped down the bar. Not with the creepy stare some men have. Not with obvious desire. With something else. Something that made my stomach flutter and my skin heat. Like he was solving an equation. Like I was a mystery he was determined to unravel. I noticed everything about him. The expensive watch that didn't match his simple black clothes. The scar across his knuckles. The way other customers gave him space, shifting their chairs, lowering their voices when he walked in. The way he always left cash. Always included a tip so generous that Halmiani would shake her head and make sure I kept everyone. Who is he? I finally asked her one night after he'd left. Halmiani's face went very still. She looked toward the door he'd just walked through, then back at me. Someone dangerous, child. Someone very powerful. Someone very alone. She paused. And someone who looks at you like you're the answer to a question he's been asking his whole life. What does that mean? It means be careful. Men like him, they don't know how to love softly. They only know how to consume. Her words should have scared me. Instead, they made something deep in my belly tighten with anticipation. His name was Minjun. And I wouldn't understand what he truly was, what he did, what he controlled, what darkness he carried, until the night everything changed. The night I saved his life. And the night he showed me exactly how consuming his love could be. What I didn't know then was that Seoul's underworld was at war. Minjun wasn't just powerful. He was a ghost. A legend. The man who controlled the Jinguk faction, one of the most feared criminal organizations in Gangnam. They ran everything. Protection. Gambling. Nightlife. Territory that generated millions. But a rival faction, the Biko group, wanted what was his. They'd been attacking his businesses, recruiting away his people, cutting into his empire. And they wanted him dead. 3 assassination attempts in 3 months. Each one closer than the last. Minjun knew his days in Seoul were numbered. That's why he'd spent 3 years quietly building an exit strategy, legitimate businesses in Singapore. Real estate. Tech investments. A clean life waiting for him if he could just survive long enough to claim it. But he hadn't pulled the trigger yet. Hadn't walked away. Because walking away meant leaving behind the one thing that made him feel human. Thursday nights at Halmiani's garden. Watching me. Waiting for the right moment to do what he'd wanted to do since the first time he saw me drop a tray and laugh at my own clumsiness. Claim me. He just didn't know that fate would force his hand much sooner than he'd planned. And that when it did, everything, his empire, his carefully constructed walls, his determination to keep me safe by keeping me distant, would crumble in a single night. February 14th. Valentine's Day. The restaurant was packed with couples leaning across tables, sharing food, stealing kisses. And I was running between tables, trying not to think about how I'd spent every Valentine's Day of my adult life alone. Minjun came in at his usual time. But something was different. He was tense. His jaw clenched. His eyes darker than usual, if that was possible. He ordered his usual galbi, but when I set it down, his hand brushed mine. Just for a second. Just enough to send electricity racing up my arm. I looked at him, startled. He held my gaze. And in that moment, I saw something I'd never seen before. Hunger. Not for food. For me. Elizabeth, he said. My name. First time he'd ever said it out loud. My breath caught. Yes. Be careful tonight. Go straight home. Don't take any detours. I don't understand. Just promise me. His hand was still touching mine. Warm. Solid. Promise me you'll be safe. I nodded, confused. Thrilled. Terrified. He smiled then. Barely. Just a ghost of one. Good. He barely touched his food. Just kept watching the door. Checking his phone. Radiating tension like a wire pulled too tight. At 11 p.m., Halmiani sent me home early. You look exhausted, child. Go rest. I left through the back alley like always. It was raining. That cold February rain that cuts through your clothes and settles in your bones. I should have listened to Minjun. Should have gone straight to the Jimjilbang. But I heard it. Voices. Angry. Speaking rapid Korean. I'd learned enough by then to catch fragments. Kill him. Finish this. Biko sends their regards. Then the unmistakable sounds of violence. Every instinct screamed at me to run. To mind my own business. To survive. But then I heard a sound that stopped my heart. A grunt of pain. Familiar. Somehow familiar. I turned the corner. And there he was. Minjun. On the ground. 3 men standing over him like vultures. There was so much blood. It soaked through his shirt. Dripped onto the wet pavement. Painted the rain red. One of the men had a knife. Was raising it for another strike. And I, a Nigerian girl with no business being there, didn't think. I just moved. Grabbed the metal garbage can lid next to me. Swung it with every ounce of strength I had. It connected with the knife man's skull. He dropped like a stone. The other 2 turned. Looked at me. And smiled like I'd just volunteered to be their next victim. One of them said something in Korean. Took a step toward me. And that's when Minjun moved. Even bleeding. Even half dead. He moved like violence was a language he'd spoken since birth. I won't describe what he did to those men. But they ran. And they left their friend unconscious in the alley. Minjun collapsed against the wall, breathing hard, his hand pressed to the wound on his shoulder. I dropped the lid. Rushed to him. "You're bleeding," I said stupidly. Like he didn't know. He looked at me. Really looked at me. And despite the pain, despite the blood, despite everything, he smiled. "You're insane," he said in perfect English. "Why would you do that?" "I don't know," I whispered. My hands were shaking, covered in his blood. I couldn't watch you die." Something shifted in his eyes. Softened. Intensified. "Can you walk?" I asked. "We need to." "No hospitals," he said firmly. "No police. Those men have connections everywhere. You understand?" I didn't. But I nodded. "My place isn't far," he said. "Help me there. Please, Elizabeth." The way he said my name. Like a prayer. Like a promise. I helped him up. Let him lean against me. And together, we stumbled through Seoul's back alleys. He knew every blind spot. Every route the CCTV cameras didn't cover. Even half-conscious, he navigated us through the city's shadows like he'd been born in them. Which, I'd later learn, he had been. But in that moment, all I knew was the heat of his body against mine. The weight of him. The way his breath felt against my neck when he leaned down to whisper directions. And the terrifying, exhilarating knowledge that everything was about to change. We reached his building. A luxury high-rise in Gangnam that made my eyes widen. "Penthouse," he managed. "Private elevator. Code is 0214. February 14th. Valentine's Day." I'd remember that detail later. Wonder if it was coincidence or fate. The elevator opened directly into his apartment. And when I saw it, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking all of Seoul, marble floors, art that probably cost more than my family's house, I froze. "Who are you?" I whispered. He looked at me, blood still seeping through his fingers. Eyes dark with pain and something else. "Help me first," he said. "Then I'll tell you everything. I promise." And God help me, I believed him. If you're still watching this, drop a comment right now saying, "I'm still here," with your location. Because what happened next in that penthouse? It's the part of the story that changed everything. The moment that turned a rescue into an obsession. And I need to know who's brave enough to hear it. I guided him to the massive leather couch. Helped him sit. Ran to find the first aid kit he'd mentioned. When I came back, he'd removed his jacket and shirt. And I stopped breathing. His body was beautiful. Sculpted. But covered in scars. Dozens of them. Some old and faded. Some recent and angry. A map of violence written across his skin. But it was the fresh wound, the knife slash across his shoulder, still bleeding, that demanded my attention. "I need to clean this," I said, my voice shakier than I wanted. "It's going to hurt." "I've had worse," he said. But when I pressed the antiseptic-soaked gauze to the wound, his jaw clenched. His hand found my wrist. Gripped it. Not to push me away. Just to hold on. I worked carefully. Cleaned the wound. Started stitching. My mother had taught me this. Basic field medicine for emergencies. I never thought I'd use it in a Gangnam penthouse on a man who looked like a fallen angel. "You're good at this," he said, watching my face. My mother was a nurse. Before she had us. She wanted me to know how to save lives. "Did she know you'd use it to save mine?" "Nobody could have predicted this," I whispered. "I could have." I looked up. His eyes were on me. Intense. Burning. "What does that mean?" "It means I've been waiting for you, Elizabeth. For 6 months, I've watched you. Learned you. The way you bite your lip when you're concentrating. The way you laugh at your own mistakes. The way you treat every customer like they matter, even the ones who treat you like you're invisible." My hands stilled on his skin. "I've been trying to find the courage to speak to you," he continued. "To tell you that you're the only beautiful thing in my ugly world. But I knew if I started, I wouldn't be able to stop. And you deserve better than what I am." "What are you?" I whispered. "Dangerous. Violent. Everything your mother warned you about." She warned me about a lot of things. Didn't mention Korean men who quote poetry with their eyes. He laughed. Actually laughed. Then winced. Don't make me laugh, he said. It hurts. Then don't say things that make me forget how to breathe. The air between us changed. Charged. Electric. I finished the last stitch. Tied it off. Started bandaging. Elizabeth, he said softly. I looked up. Thank you. For saving me. For being brave when you should have run. For being here. I don't even know your full name. Kim Minjun, he paused. And I run the Jinguk faction. We control most of Gangnam's underground operations. Gambling. Protection. Nightlife. Those men tonight? Sent by a rival group who want me dead and my territory absorbed. I should have run. Should have screamed. Should have done anything except what I did. Which was lean in closer. How badly do they want you dead? Badly enough that they'll come after anyone close to me. Which means you're in danger now. Those men saw you. And if they survive, they'll talk. So what do? You let me protect you. I don't need protection. You just hit a trained killer with a garbage can lid. I'd say you need a lot of things. Protection is just the beginning. His hand came up. Cupped my face. His thumb traced my cheekbone. And that's when I realized how close we were. How his eyes had dropped to my lips. How my heart was racing. You're beautiful when you're concentrating, he said. That low voice. The one that made my stomach flip. Don't, I whispered. Don't look at me like that. Like what? Like you want to. He kissed me. Cut off my words. Cut off my breath. Cut off every reason I had to walk away. His lips were soft. Insistent. Claiming. And God help me, I kissed him back. My hands found his chest. His heart was racing as fast as mine. His hands slid into my hair, angling my head, deepening the kiss. He tasted like rain and danger and something sweet I couldn't name. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. I've wanted to do that for 6 months, he whispered against my lips. I've wanted you too, I admitted. Then why did you tell me to stop looking at you like that? Because I'm scared. Of me? Of how much I want this. Want you. I came to Seoul with nothing. I've been living in bathhouses and lying to my family. And now I'm in a penthouse with a man I just met, kissing him like it's the only thing that makes sense. It is the only thing that makes sense, he said. You and me. This. It's the first real thing I've felt in years. He kissed me again. Slower this time. Deeper. His hands on my waist, pulling me closer. I responded without thinking. My body pressing against his. My fingers tracing the scars on his chest, learning the map of him. Elizabeth, he breathed against my neck. If you want me to stop. Don't, I whispered. Don't stop. His mouth found mine again. Hungry. Desperate. Like he'd been starving for this. For me. We moved together. Somehow ended up on that expensive couch. His hands exploring. My body arching into his touch. Your shoulder, I gasped. I don't want to hurt you. You could never hurt me, he said. You're the first gentle thing in my life. The first soft place I've ever wanted to fall. He kissed my neck. My collarbone. The place where my pulse was racing. Tell me to stop, he whispered. Tell me this is crazy. Tell me you don't want this. I can't, I breathed. Because I do want this. So much it scares me. Then let me take away the fear. And he did. His hands. His mouth. The way he touched me like I was precious. Like I was the answer to every question he'd been asking. We made love that night. Right there. Rain hammering against the windows. Seoul sleeping below us. The world disappearing until it was just us. Just his skin against mine. His breath in my ear. His whispered words, half in Korean, half in English, telling me how long he'd wanted this. How beautiful I was. How I'd saved him in ways that had nothing to do with that alley. And me, lost in sensation. In the way he made me feel seen. Wanted. Worshipped. When it was over, when we lay tangled together on that couch, his hand tracing patterns on my bare shoulder, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just attraction. This wasn't just gratitude or adrenaline or the high of surviving violence. This was something deeper. Something that would change me forever. Stay, he whispered in the darkness. Stay with me tonight. Let me keep you safe. Just tonight. He turned me in his arms. Looked into my eyes. As long as you'll let me. As many nights as you'll give me. I know I should let you go. Should send you away before you get hurt. But I'm not that strong, Elizabeth. Not when it comes to you. I kissed him. Soft. Sweet. A promise I didn't fully understand yet. Then don't let me go, I whispered. He carried me to his bedroom. Laid me down on sheets that probably cost more than I'd earned in 6 months. Made love to me again, slower this time. Learning every sound I made. Every place that made me gasp. And afterward, with my head on his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear, he told me everything. His real name. His empire. The war with the Biko Group. The 3 years he'd spent building legitimate businesses in Singapore, preparing for an exit he'd never quite had the courage to take. I was waiting, he said, for a reason to leave. For something worth more than power and fear and respect. And now I have my reason. He kissed my forehead. I should have been scared. Should have run. Instead, I fell asleep in his arms. Safe. Protected. Wanted. Not knowing that this was just the beginning. That loving him would put a target on my back. That in a few short months, our love would be tested in ways I couldn't imagine. But also not knowing that this man, this dangerous, violent, beautiful man, would move heaven and earth to keep me safe. Would burn his empire to the ground rather than lose me. Would show me what it truly meant to be loved by someone who loved like he was dying. Completely. Desperately. Without limits or fear. That night changed everything. It was the night I stopped being invisible. The night I became his. And the night he became mine. I woke up the next morning in his arms. Sunlight streaming through those floor-to-ceiling windows. Seoul sparkling below us like a promise. For a moment, I thought I'd dreamed it all. Then Minjun stirred. Pulled me closer. Kissed my shoulder. "Good morning, beautiful," he murmured. And I knew it was real. All of it. The man in the kitchen making breakfast despite his injured shoulder. The way he looked at me like I was the sun. The gentle way he touched my face and asked if I was okay. If I regretted anything. I didn't. Over coffee and rice, he made me an offer that would change my life. "Those men will be looking for you now," he said. "You helped me. Witnessed what happened. That makes you a target. The Biko Group doesn't forgive. They'll find out who you are. Where you work. And they'll come for you." My blood ran cold. "So what do I do?" "You let me protect you. Work for me. Stay close." "Work for you doing what?" "Legitimate business," he said. "I own several real companies, not fronts, actual businesses I've been building for 3 years. Real estate development in Singapore and Bangkok. Tech investments. Import-export. You said you wanted to study international business? Learn from the inside. I'll pay you well. Very well. Enough to send money home. Enough to make your family proud. And in exchange? You stay alive. You stay safe. You stay with me." The way he said that last part. Like he was asking for more than just my employment. "I have conditions," I said. He raised an eyebrow. Smiled slightly. "You're negotiating with me. You said you needed someone you could trust. Trust goes both ways. Tell me your conditions." "I want to learn real skills. I want to be able to send money home without lying about where it comes from. And I want your word that you'll never ask me to do anything illegal. I don't care what you do in your other life, but I won't be part of the violence." "Done," he said without hesitation. "And one more thing, I'll fix your visa situation. I have connections in immigration. By next week, you'll have proper residency status and work permits. Legal. Clean. No questions asked. You can do that?" "I can do a lot of things, Elizabeth. Not all of them good. But keeping you safe? Making sure you can stay in this country legally? That I can do." We shook hands. But then he pulled me closer. Kissed me. Deep. Possessive. "One more condition," he whispered against my lips. "Mine, not yours." "What?" "That you stay in my bed. That you let me wake up next to you. That you give me the chance to show you how good this could be. That's 3 conditions. I'm greedy when it comes to you." I kissed him back. "Then we're both greedy." And just like that, my life split into before and after. Before Minjun. And after. Before I knew what it felt like to be consumed by someone. And after. Before I understood that love could be dangerous and safe at the same time. And after. The next 6 months were a blur of discovery. Minjun kept every promise. Within a week, my visa situation was handled. I had legal residency, work permits, documentation that made me legitimate in the eyes of Korean immigration. He enrolled me in intensive business courses, hired private tutors for Korean and Mandarin, put me to work in his real estate development company's international division. The pay was generous. More than generous. For the first time in my life, I had money. Real money. I rented a small apartment in a safe neighborhood. Modest. Mine. Though I barely stayed there because Minjun wanted me in his bed every night. I sent money home to my family. Told them I'd gotten an amazing job with an international company. My mother cried with joy. My father's voice swelled with pride. But the work was real. Minjun's legitimate businesses weren't fronts, they were actual companies he'd spent 3 years building as his exit strategy from the criminal world. I learned fast. Contracts. Negotiations. International markets. How to read people. How to spot a good investment. Minjun was a demanding teacher. But patient. He'd explain things twice, 3 times if I needed it. Never made me feel stupid for asking questions. And at night? At night he taught me other things. How to surrender. How to trust. How to let someone see every part of me, even the broken parts, and not be afraid. He made love to me like it was worship. Like my body was a temple and he was a devoted believer. His hands learned every curve. His mouth discovered every sensitive place. He'd whisper to me in Korean, words I didn't always understand but felt in my bones. Tell me I was beautiful. That I'd saved him. That he'd never let anything hurt me. Some mornings I'd wake up to find him watching me sleep. Just watching. With this look on his face like he couldn't believe I was real. What? I'd ask, self-conscious. Just memorizing you, he'd say. In case this is all a dream. It's not a dream. Then why does it feel impossible? Why does it feel like the universe made a mistake letting me have you? I'd kiss him then. Show him it was real. That I chose him. Every day I chose him. But it wasn't all romance and passion. Because the Biko group hadn't forgotten. There were 2 more attempts on Minjun's life during those 6 months. A car bomb that his driver spotted just in time. A sniper shot that missed by inches because he'd bent down to tie his shoe. Each time, the attacks got closer. More personal. More desperate. And each time, Minjun assigned more bodyguards to me. Tightened security. Made sure I was never alone. I won't let them touch you, he'd say, holding me at night. I'd burn this entire city down first. I believed him. Because I saw what he was capable of. The cold calculation. The strategic mind that always stayed 3 steps ahead. But I also saw his softness. The part of him only I got to see. The way he'd trace my collarbone while we talked about our dreams. The way he'd make me breakfast on Sunday mornings. The way he'd text me throughout the day, always checking that I was safe, that I was happy. We kept our relationship quiet. Professional and public. No social media. No public displays. But in private? In the sanctuary of his penthouse? He was mine. And I was his. Completely. The breaking point came on a Thursday night. 6 months after that Valentine's Day. We were alone in his office, going over quarterly reports for the Singapore developments. Rain hammering against the windows. Just like that first night. I was sitting across from him, pointing out something in the numbers, when I looked up and caught him staring. What? I asked. I love you, he said. Just like that. Simple. Devastating. I stopped breathing. I know I shouldn't, he continued. I know I should keep this professional. Safe. But I can't anymore, Elizabeth. I love you. I'm in love with you. Have been since the moment you hit that man with a garbage can lid and looked at me like I was worth saving. Tears filled my eyes. Say something, he whispered. Tell me I haven't ruined this. I stood, walked around the desk, climbed into his lap, and kissed him like I was trying to pour every feeling I had into that one connection. When I pulled back, I looked into his eyes. I love you too, I said. So much it terrifies me. So much that I can't imagine my life without you in it. You've ruined me for anyone else, Kim Minjun. He kissed me. Deep. Possessive. Claiming. His hands found the buttons of my blouse. Started undoing them. Here, I gasped. In your office? Everywhere, he growled. I want you everywhere. On my desk. Against the windows. I want all of Seoul to know you're mine. He made love to me right there. On his desk. Papers scattering. My back against the cold wood. His body over mine, claiming me, worshipping me. And when we finished, both breathless and tangled together, he held my face. Marry me, he said. I laughed. Thought he was joking. But his face was serious. I mean it. Marry me, Elizabeth. Let me make this official. Let me give you my name. My protection. Everything I have. You're serious. Completely. I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. But I've never been more sure of anything. You're my future. The only good thing in my world. So marry me. Please. I should have said it was too soon. Too dangerous. Too complicated. Instead, I said, yes. And he kissed me like I'd just given him the world. We didn't know that someone was watching the building, taking photos through those floor-to-ceiling windows. We didn't know that our enemies had just found the leverage they needed. We didn't know that in 2 weeks, everything would explode. But in that moment, in that perfect, suspended moment, we were just two people in love, making promises, building dreams, not knowing how close we were to losing everything. For 2 perfect weeks after his proposal, we existed in a bubble of happiness. Minjun bought me a ring. Not a diamond, something more meaningful. A ruby surrounded by smaller stones. Red for passion, he said when he slipped it on my finger. And the small stones? Each one represents a Thursday night I watched you and fell a little more in love. I counted them. 24 stones. 6 months of Thursdays. We talked about the wedding. Small. Intimate. Just us and a few trusted people. Then a honeymoon in Singapore while he transitioned his legitimate businesses there full-time. I'm done with Seoul, he told me. Done with this life. I have enough put away. Enough legitimate income. We can start over. Clean. Just us. I believed him. I even went back to visit Halmiani at the restaurant. Told her about the engagement. Showed her the ring. She held my hand. Looked at me with those wise eyes. Are you happy, child? More than I ever thought possible. Then I'm happy for you. But promise me something when you leave Seoul, and you will leave. Promise you'll write. Let me know you're safe. I promise, Halmiani. I'll never forget what you did for me. She kissed my forehead. Go. Build your life. And remember, love is worth fighting for. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I didn't know those would be the last words she'd say to me. Because 3 days later, at 3 in the morning, Minjun's phone rang. The sound pulled us from sleep. I felt him tense beside me. He answered. Listened. And I watched his face transform from sleepy contentment to cold rage. Get dressed, he said the moment he hung up. Now. We need to leave. What's happening? They know. The Biko group. Someone leaked photos of us together. High-resolution images from the past 6 months. Including. He paused. His jaw clenched. Including from my office. 2 weeks ago. My blood turned to ice. The night on his desk. The windows. All of Seoul spread below us. Someone had been watching. Photographing. Waiting. They have your address, Minjun continued, moving with military precision. Packing. Making calls. They're already mobilizing. We have maybe an hour before they arrive. How did they? Someone inside my organization betrayed me. Someone's been watching us for months. Waiting for the perfect leverage. Bodyguards flooded the penthouse. Minjun issued rapid orders in Korean. The apartment became a command center. I'm sending you somewhere safe, he said. Out of the country. New identity if necessary. You'll. No, I said firmly. I'm not leaving you. Elizabeth. I said no. We face this together. That's what love means. That's what this ring means. I held up my hand. You don't get to protect me by pushing me away. He looked at me. And I saw fear in his eyes. Real fear. If something happens to you because of me, then we make sure nothing happens, I interrupted. You're brilliant. You've survived this long. So we survive this together. Tell me what we need to do. Something shifted in his face. Pride. Love. Determination. Then we end this, he said. Tonight. We end this war once and for all. Over the next 72 hours, I watched the man I loved become someone else. Not cruel. Not heartless. But absolutely ruthless. He'd been planning this for months, I realized. Collecting evidence. Building a case. Preparing for the day when he'd need to destroy the Biko group completely. He just hadn't wanted to pull the trigger while he had something to lose. Now he had everything to lose. Me. He gave everything to one honest prosecutor, a woman whose family the Biko group had destroyed years ago. Financial records. Recordings of murders. Proof of corruption that reached into the police, the prosecutor's office, city government. Use it, he told her. Burn them all. While she moved legally, Minjun worked other angles. Turned the Biko group's own people against them. Revealed betrayals. Offered immunity to lieutenants willing to testify. Within 48 hours, the Biko leadership was in custody. Their organization was collapsing. Their territories were being absorbed by factions Minjun had secretly negotiated with. But the cost. I have to give it all up, he told me on the second night. We were alone in his penthouse. Surrounded by bodyguards. Waiting for news. My position. My empire. Everything I built in Seoul. It's the only way to guarantee they can't retaliate. Can't come after you. You do that? Give up everything. He pulled me into his arms. Held me so tight I could barely breathe. You are everything, Elizabeth. The empire? The power? The respect? It's nothing compared to you. I'd burn it all down 1,000 times to keep you safe. What about your people? The ones who depend on you. Already handled. I'm transferring control to my second-in-command. A man I've known for 15 years. He'll take care of them. Make sure their families are protected. Give them the choice to go legitimate or stay in the life. And us. He tilted my face up. Kiss me gently. We go to Singapore. Start over. Build something real with the legitimate businesses. Get married. Make babies. Live the life I never thought I deserved. When? 3 days. As soon as I know you're completely safe. As soon as the Biko group is destroyed beyond recovery. Those 3 days were the longest of my life. We barely slept. Made love desperately, frantically, like we were trying to memorize each other. Like we knew we were on borrowed time. Minjun would hold me at night, his hand on my heart. I love you, he'd whisper. I love you more than power. More than soul. More than my own life. You know that, right? I know, I'd whisper back. I love you the same way. Dangerously. Completely. On the third night, it was over. The Biko group's top leadership was in prison. Their organization was fractured beyond repair. The prosecutor had enough evidence to put them away for decades. And Minjun had handed over control of the Jinguk faction. Walked away from the empire he'd built. For me. We left Seoul the next morning. Quietly. Before sunrise. 2 shadows slipping away from the city that had brought us together. I said goodbye to Halmiani the night before. Held her. Promised to write. You found your happiness, she said. Now go protect it. Fight for it. Never let it go. Minjun and I landed in Singapore 12 hours later. And for the first time in months, we could breathe. The apartment he'd arranged overlooked Marina Bay. Beautiful. Modern. Safe. That first night, he made love to me slowly. Tenderly. Like we had all the time in the world now. We're free, he whispered against my skin. Free to just be us. Free to build the life we want. What do we want? You. Me. A family. A business we can be proud of. A life where we don't have to look over our shoulders. Is that possible? After everything. We'll make it possible, he said. Together. And lying in his arms, in our new home, in our new life, I believed him. We were going to make it. We were going to build something beautiful from the ashes of his empire. We were going to prove that love could conquer even the darkest past. We had no idea how right we were. Or how much more beautiful and difficult the journey would be. We landed in Singapore with 2 suitcases, a ring on my finger, and $30 million in legitimate business assets. It sounds like a lot. And it was. But building something real? Something clean? That took everything we had. The first year was brutal. Minjun's legitimate businesses were more extensive than I'd realized. Real estate developments across Southeast Asia. Early investments in technology startups that were starting to explode. Import-export companies dealing in textiles, electronics, sustainable goods. He'd been planning this exit for 3 years. Building a second empire while running his criminal one. Preparing for the day when he'd finally have a reason to walk away. I was that reason. I want you to run this with me, he said our first week in Singapore. Not as my employee. As my partner. Equal shares. Equal say. Minjun, I don't know how to. You saved my life twice, he interrupted. Once in that alley. Once by giving me a reason to want to live differently. You're the smartest, bravest woman I know. So yes, you do know how. I kissed him. Then let's build something incredible. We got married 3 months later. Small ceremony at the Registry of Marriages. Just us and 2 witnesses we'd hired. No family. No friends from our old lives. Just us. But when Minjun slipped the wedding band onto my finger and said, I do, I'd never felt more loved. That night, in our hotel suite, he made love to me as my husband for the first time. Mrs. Kim, he whispered against my skin. My wife. Mine forever. Yours forever, I promised. The work consumed us. 18-hour days. Constant travel. Learning curves so steep I thought I'd fail. But Minjun believed in me. Pushed me. Celebrated my wins and caught me when I fell. I focused on international expansion. Used the languages I'd learned. Built relationships with suppliers and partners who saw me as a serious businesswoman. Minjun handled financial strategy. Investments. The big picture planning that turned good ideas into empires. And slowly, impossibly, it worked. Our real estate development company took off. We specialized in affordable housing, something close to both our hearts. Housing for workers. For immigrants. For people like I used to be. We created scholarship programs for international students. Especially for young Nigerian women studying in Korea. We built something that mattered. The technology investments Minjun had made years earlier started paying massive dividends. Companies he'd invested $10,000 in were suddenly worth millions. Within 2 years, we were profitable. Within 4, we were thriving. But the best part? The part that made all the work worthwhile? The life we built together. Morning coffee on our balcony overlooking the bay. Late nights wrapped in each other's arms, talking about our dreams. The way he'd still look at me across a conference room like I was the only person in the world. The way I'd still shiver when he kissed my neck and whispered that he loved me. We grew together. Learned together. Built together. And in year 3, I got pregnant. I found out on a Tuesday. Took the test in our bathroom while Minjun was in a meeting. Stared at those 2 pink lines with my heart racing. When he came home, I showed him. He looked at the test. Looked at me. And burst into tears. We're having a baby, he whispered. We're having a baby. He dropped to his knees. Pressed his face against my still flat stomach. And cried like I'd given him the world. Thank you, he kept saying. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our daughter was born 9 months later. We named her Grace. For the grace that brought us together. The grace that saved us. Minjun was transformed by fatherhood. This man who'd once run a criminal empire became the softest, most devoted father. He'd wake up for midnight feedings. Change diapers without complaint. Sing Korean lullabies while walking her around the apartment. She has your eyes, he'd say, staring at her in wonder. The same eyes that saw me as human when everyone else saw a monster. 2 years later, our son was born. We named him Daniel. Strong. Resilient. And our family was complete. But the biggest moment, the one that proved how far we'd come, happened in year 6. I was visiting Lagos. First time back since leaving. Minjun had insisted I go. Reconnect with my family. Show them our children. My mother held Grace and cried. My father bounced Daniel on his knee and laughed. You did it, Elizabeth, my mother said. You made it. Not just survived, you thrived. I had help, I said, watching Minjun play with our children. I had someone who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. I was sitting with my mother in our old apartment when Minjun called. Turn on the news. International Business Channel. I did. And there it was, MK Developments, our company, had just closed a major acquisition deal. A consortium of international investors had purchased significant stake, valuing the entire company at $2.3 billion. The ticker at the bottom listed the founders, Kim Min-jun and Elizabeth Adebayo Kim. Billionaire. I stared at my name. At that word. I'd done it. Kept my promise to my mother. Made my family proud. Not the way I'd planned. Not even close. But I'd built something real. Something good. My mother looked at the screen. Then at me. Then started laughing and crying at the same time. My baby girl, she whispered. Look at you. Just look at you. That night, Min-jun called again. How does it feel? He asked. Surreal. Wonderful. Terrifying. You deserve all of it, Elizabeth. Every bit of success. Every moment of happiness. You earned it. We earned it, I corrected. Together. Together, he agreed. Always together. That was 4 years ago. Today, Min-jun and I run MK Developments together. We employ over 4,000 people across 9 countries. We've built affordable housing for over 25,000 families. We've funded scholarships for 300 international students. We use our wealth, our power, to lift up people who look like we used to be. Struggling. Desperate. Invisible. We make them visible. Every year, we send money to Halmiani's garden. She retired 2 years ago, but the restaurant still operates. We made sure it always will. Every year, we visit Seoul. Walk past that alley where everything changed. Remember who we were. Honor the journey. Our children are growing up knowing their parents' story. We've never hidden it. Never pretended Min-jun's past doesn't exist. But we also show them that people can change. That redemption is real. That love conquers even the darkest history. Grace is 8 now. Brilliant. Curious. Already negotiating like a businesswoman. Daniel is 6. Sweet. Brave. Protective of his sister. They're our legacy. Our proof that something beautiful can grow from ashes. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. Choosing him. Risking everything. Falling for a dangerous man. And I tell them the truth. I don't regret a single moment. Not the fear. Not the danger. Not even the times I thought we wouldn't survive. Because I learned something important in that alley, in that penthouse, in his arms. Love isn't safe. It's not easy. It's not the fairy tale they show in movies. Real love is choosing someone even when it's hard. Even when it's dangerous. Even when everyone says you're crazy. Real love is building something together. Fighting for it. Protecting it. Nurturing it until it becomes something neither of you could have created alone. Min-jun gave up an empire for me. And I gave up my fear for him. Together, we built something better than either of us dreamed. We still have hard days. His nightmares from the old life. My anxiety about keeping our family safe. The weight of running a company that affects thousands of lives. But we have each other. And late at night, when we're alone in our home in Singapore, when the children are asleep and the world is quiet, he'll pull me close. He'll trace the scar on his shoulder, the one from that Valentine's Day night. And he'll say, "You're still the most insane woman I've ever met. Hitting a trained killer with a garbage can lid. Who does that?" And I'll smile and say, "A woman in love. A woman who saw someone worth saving." And now he'll ask, kissing my neck, "Am I still worth saving?" Every single day I'll whisper, "Every single day I choose to save you. And you choose to save me." Then he'll make love to me. Gentle. Reverent. Like he's still amazed I'm real. And I'll fall asleep in his arms. Safe. Loved. Home. This is our story. The homeless waitress and the mafia boss. The impossible love that became an empire. The night of blood and rain that led to a lifetime of kisses and promises. We're not perfect. Our story isn't a fairy tale. But it's ours. And it's beautiful. And it started with a choice. A moment of courage. A leap of faith. It started with me saving his life. And him saving mine right back. So now you know everything. Every detail. Every moment. Every kiss that changed the world. And I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever met someone who made you feel like that? Like you'd risk everything just to be near them? Like their touch rewrote your entire understanding of love? Or are you still waiting for it? Drop a comment below and tell me honestly. Have you found your dangerous love? Your impossible romance? Or are you still searching? Because I'm reading every single response. And I want to know your stories too. These aren't just stories. They're proof that love can happen in the most unexpected places. That sometimes the biggest risks lead to the most beautiful rewards. That a homeless girl from Lagos and a dangerous man from Seoul can beat every odd and build something extraordinary. So tell me, what's your take? Was it worth it? Would you have made the same choices? Would you have saved him in that alley? Would you have kissed him in that penthouse? Comment below. I'm reading every single one. And if this story made you feel something real, if it reminded you that love is worth fighting for, hit that like button and send it to someone who needs to hear it. Because we all need reminding sometimes that we're capable of more than we think. That love shows up when we least expect it. That sometimes being a little crazy, a little brave, a little willing to risk everything. That's exactly what saves us. I'm Elizabeth. This was our story. Our impossible, beautiful, dangerous love story. And I'll see you in the next chapter.